GT World Challenge Europe's latest sprint race weekend produced a bunch of different action at a former F1 venue, no less. Following on from Misano, it was Magny-Cours. Let's talk about some of the things that came up from it. Firstly, as I seem to be saying with a lot of different GT World Challenge and IGTC races this season, the field was quite well balanced. When you look at the top four in the pros for the first race, you have the Processional Racing Lamborghini that won at Spa, you have the Rutronic Porsche, which has been competitive throughout the season, you have the 32 WRT BMW, and you have the 48 Winwood Mercedes. 4 different manufacturers in the top 5, 5 in the top 6, 6 in the top 7, 7 in the top 8. And race 2, it's a similar story. 6 different manufacturers for the top 6. Garage 59, who won in Misano, from the Processional Racing Lamborghini, from the 32 BMW, from the 51 Ferrari, from the Rutronic Porsche, from the Boutsen VDS Mercedes, with the Winwood 48 being the first repeat one, and then it's 7 different manufacturers in the top 8, 8 manufacturers in the top 9, with the Santalok Gold and the Silver Come To You Racing Aston Martin. However, there were some points where these races felt a little bit processional, and that is just what Magny-Cours is. It can be quite tricky to overtake. There are a couple of spaces where you can run your speed up, but it's also about trying to remain focused and capitalise on any mistakes that your rivals make. That is what happened for Processional Racing Team in the first race when it came to them losing out in the pit window. It's what helped Garage 59. They were just relentlessly consistent. The safety car windows helped break some bits up in the first race, and then in the second race you have a bit of a longer race in terms of the number of laps run, with only one car, I think, not circulating at the end, and that was the CSA McLaren 111, and that stopped right at the end. In the first one, we had that incident really early on. It was the first lap for the HRT Ford and the Tracer Attempto Audi, and then you had the AF Corsa 51 only a dozen laps later. However, despite there being a couple of different incidents, it felt relatively clean, and relatively, especially compared to some other races that happened on the same weekend, the IMSA race at Road America, which gets its whole other video that you can check out on this channel as well, and possibly, if I remember, in the description down below. Either way, what this means for the championships is as follows. For GT World Challenge Europe overall, Charles Wirtz and Kelvin van der Linde lead Lucas Aramaro Engel by 8.5 points. Another point back are Niederhauser and Muller, and then another 10 back are Goethe and Kirchhofer. Engstler and Pepper haven't been at all of the rounds, but they're still 5th in the standings, whilst Rivera and Vincent Abreu are in 6th place. If we have a look at the sprint overall as well, you can see for the drivers that it is van der Linde and Wirtz leading, but the gap's even closer here. It's 1.5 points between them and the Goethe Kirchhofer Garage 59. Niederhauser and Muller are a further 7 points back, but only a point behind them are Auer and Engel. Engstler and Pepper are 10.5 points behind them, and Avril and Rivera are a further 7.5 points back. If we look at the other classes as well, apart from overall, in the gold, Vermeulen and Lullam hold on to the lead. They are currently ahead of Alfredo Azuber and Jens Klingman overall, and that is by nearly 50 points, with Louis Pret on his own third, 70 points back. But when you look at the Sprint Cup for the golds, it's a different story. It's 2.5 points for Lullam and Vermeulen from Jules Magnus and Paul Everard, with Louis Pret in third on 80 points. When it comes to the silvers, it is Mex Janssen and Cesar. He's on his own actually at 119.5 from Cesar Gazzo and Aurelien Panis. It's 4 points clear there. Then Klimenko is on 115 and Lorenz Lecertua is on 115. But the top 4 are separated by 6.5 points, with Alex Acker and Ezequiel Perez-Companc in 4th place on 113 points. In the Sprint Cup for silver, Kobe Howes and Jamie Day are leading on 84.5, 6 points clear of Cesar Gasol, Aurelian Panis. Then Acker and Perez Compac are 13.5 points back, with Klemenko and Lesatois a further point behind. And then in bronze, to wrap it all up, it is Dustin Batner and Dennis Marshall who are on 146 points. In second place is Rinat Salikov on 113. Marvin Dienst is on 88.5 in third. Then Piana is a further 4 points back in fourth. And Conrad Lawson is 3.5 points further back in fifth. Whilst in the sprint, Marshall and Batner are on 65. And second place is Basha Mardini and Bastien Bous on 58.5. Third place is Salikov on his own on 53. Then Spinelli and Vivaza are on 51.5. Either way, we get a few weeks breaks now before the end of August, the Nürburgring round, which is the endurance round. We have one sprint round left in late September at Valencia, and then a final 10th round in Barcelona. Thanks for watching, folks. Until next time, it's bye for now.